Say, man, you see my crab cakes? Till I'm all alone. If you see my crab cakes, tell her things went wrong. Don't call on the phone and bring a black draw home. If you see my crab cake, tell I'm all alone. Tell her I still love her, and when she comes back home.
Now time for Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. It began as a podcast, went live on the net, and transformed into a full-blown empire. Across the web, on Fight Now TV, and on radio stations around the world. It's the only daily boxing talk radio show on the planet, hosted by the only guy with the balls to do it. Many have stepped into the ring. Many have tried to take the belt. And one by one, they've fallen. Another victim of the undisputed heavyweight champion of boxing talk radio. Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. is on now.
My style is impetuous, my defense is impregnable, and I'm just ferocious. I want your heart.
And we'll come to you live from the Billy C. Studios in Lake George, New York. I'm Bill Caligero, and it's time for Talking Boxing with Billy C. Good morning, good day, good evening, whenever you listen. I hope you're doing all right. Don't forget, I almost forgot. Don't forget the show's being brought to you in part by Cat's Nationwide Luxury Transportation Service. If you need a limousine and you're located someplace in the U.S. of A., maybe even Canada, we might get my girl. She's mine. We might get her to do some stuff up in Canada. But for now, if you're located someplace in the U.S. of A., then you need to give my girl Cat a call, 202-351-7496. Cat's Nationwide Luxury Transportation Service is the official limo service of this year's Billy C. Boxing Hall of Fame induction weekend, gathering, get-together, whatever you want to call it, November 16th, 17th, and 18th. Make your plans now. and Kat's going to be doing the limo duties. Give her a call. Do some business with her, 202-351-7496. Tell her Billy C sent you. But just remember, she's my girl, 202-351-7496. My girl, Kat. The show is also being brought to you in part by our Camp Aaron Tomkovich. If you're looking for a lawyer, you need to use the ones that keep me out of trouble, and that's Camp Aaron Lawyer. That's Camp Aaron Lawyer. That's Camp Aaron and Tomkovich. Whether it's some papers, you need some papers drawn up. Maybe you're selling a house, maybe you're buying a house. Maybe you got to get rid of the old ball and chain. I don't know, man. Maybe you got to see your kids more. Whatever legal issue you have, including criminal law, Camp Aaron Tomkovich can help you out. Call them today, 845-221-4099. And not only do you tell them Billy C sent you, tell them I'm going to pick up the consultation fee. They love it when you say that, man. 845-221-4099, Camp Aaron Tomkovich. And, of course, my friends over at the Halftime Bar and Grill, Route 9, South Glens Falls, 518-792-4869. That's 518-792-4869. The outdoor section is open. Live bands every weekend, beginning on Friday nights, and they have them on Saturday. And there's a bar outside, bars inside. It's a small place that's pretty big. You got to see it to understand what I'm talking about. And speaking of the Halftime Bar and Grill, we're going to be there this Friday night, tomorrow, with some tickets and opportunities for you to get tickets to the May 18th ESPN Friday Night Fights, which is a star boxing event. And Raymond Serrano is taking on Kareem Mayfield in the main event. We want you to come on down to the Halftime Bar and Grill tomorrow night. Have some fun. I'm going to be there. I know we got some other people coming up. Hey, if you're going to drive up, if you're not from the area, make sure you either have a designated driver or get yourself a hotel room. If you need some information about some hotels, including one that's walking distance from the place, give us an email, Billy@TalkinBoxing, TalkinBoxing.com. And listen, we're going to have a great time this week, man. We want you to come up. Not only do we have some tickets to give away, but if you sit and watch the fights with us and just talk boxing a little bit, we'll give you some prizes. We got all kinds of stuff to give away: hats, shirts, boxing glove keychains. I don't know what else is even in the prize box, so you got to check that out. Tomorrow, if you need some information on how to get to the halftime, give them a call, 518-792-4869. I also got a really, really good announcement. We're so excited here at the show. Here's the thing. We've been talking about, everyone knows we're on the Fight Now channel, television-wise, and the deal with that is we're available to every single TV provider right now, whether it's on a satellite dish or a cable network. But here's the issue. They all have not put their the pen to the paper, so to speak. Everybody knows about, all the TV providers know about the show. But now it's up to you guys to help us actually get on so that they can put us in the programming. Well, we're very close with a huge opportunity to get on AT&T's network. It's called Uverse. Now, this is a place, this is a provider that's all over the place. How about 3.4 million people subscribe to the AT&T Uverse network. It's available in 131 markets across the United States, and out of the United States, 22 states have this. So we need you guys to do us a favor, and I'm asking all the listeners, whether you listen on a regular basis, whether you listen once a week, maybe if you know somebody that listens, I don't know, but do us a favor. Visit our website, www.billycboxing.com, and right on the front page towards the right, you'll see all the banners, the fight poster banners, and you'll see one that says Fight Now, AT&T, or whatever it says. It's the top one. Click it, and please take 5 minutes of your busy schedule and fill out the survey for the Fight Now and AT&T. It'll help expedite us getting on there rather than wait around. We are very confident that you guys, our listeners and viewers, will take some time to go out there and fill that out so we can become available on the TV for these other 22 states across the U.S. So please take a minute and fill that one out. You'll be doing me a favor, and if you do, I tell you what, I'll even sweeten the pot. Drop me an email, let me know that you filled it out, send me a copy of it, whatever, and I'll take care of you. All right, I'll take care of you. Don't worry about it. I'll take care of you. Take an extra minute and go up to the website www.billycboxing.com and fill out that questionnaire. It'll take you 2 seconds. I know everybody hates that crap because I hate it, but this is for a good cause. Us, we want to get on the TV, man. We want to get on TV outside of the networks that we're on now. We want to continue to expand the show, and that's one really, really good way for us, and we can use your help. So visit the website, www.billycboxing.com. Right on the front, click the Fight Now and AT&T poster. You can't miss it. And just fill out whatever they're asking you to fill out, all right? And while you're there, cast your vote for the latest poll question. We always love that. What else? We got, you know what? Let's just get, we got Daxx Khan coming up in a little bit. Yep, Daxx Khan's going to be here. So he'll give us his weekend boxing roundup. Plus, I'm sure we got, we'll, squeeze some thoughts out of him on some other stuff. Right now, as we always do, we got the mailbags. And we got Celt83 says, who's singing at the start of the show? Me. I'm usually lips. I think you meant the band. We get listen. It's almost become like the song that gets us going here in the morning, man. A lot of response. Everybody loves it. I hope their record goes gold. It's Memphis Gold, Celt. It's Memphis Gold. That song is called Crab Cakes. I love it. It's great stuff. If you're looking to get their album or whatever they call it, CD now, MemphisGold.com is a website. Tell them, Billy, you heard them on Billy C. You can also check out them and all the other artists that submit their music to us on radiosubmit.com. And make sure you tell them Billy C sent you. That band, Crab Cakes, is the song. The band is Memphis Gold. So thanks, Celt83. We have an email from EQX150. Floyd talk. He says, you would not hear so much about Floyd if some other boxers had the same personality and could give half a decent interview. Half of the name boxers can't or barely speak English, and the majority of the others are boring. I was watching 24/7, and after 2 minutes of Cotto and his family, you're just waiting for Floyd and his cast of characters to return. And Cotto is obviously a good guy, but he is boring to watch on 24/7. All I could say is this: if you like to listen to the BS that comes out of Floyd Mayweather's mouth, if that's entertaining to you, or if you're interested in that, more power to you, EQX. I think that Floyd is just he's programmed you guys to just give him money. I got no other comment about that because, in my opinion, Miguel Cotto is a class act, and Floyd Mayweather is classless. He's a classless act, and anybody that looks at him outside of his boxing ability, I plead the George Dominguez, whatever you call it, the fifth. No, I plead what George says. My man George. I'm going to give Floyd credit for what he does inside the ring. But outside the ring, he's a classless piece of you-know-what. And but I'm not. I don't care. Like I said, I'm not even going to comment on it. I think Miguel Cotto and fighters like him, we need more of in this sport. But that's just my humble opinion.
If you're in upstate New York and you need a trucking company, then you need Rosselli Enterprises. Rosselli Enterprises is trucking at its finest. They have it all: dump trucks, dump trailers, walk-in floors, flatbeds, flow boys, tankers, loaders, and a full line of roll-off containers for any job, big or small. Rosselli Enterprises is also the source for all your sand, gravel, and topsoil needs. Visit them on the web at RosselliTrucking.com or call 315-433-5115. That's 315-433-5115 and tell them Billy C sent you.
Are you ready, America? Then let's get it on with Fight Now TV. It's time, fight fans. Your channel has arrived. All the fights, all the names, all the action. From world-class boxing events to mixed martial arts showdowns and other combat sports matchups, Fight Now TV delivers the hits and more. Call your television provider and tell them you want to get it on with Fight Now TV. For more details, go to fightnow.com.
We've got a great matchup tonight. Fighting out of the left corner is the #1 ranked contender.
No, he is not.
I'm sorry, but who are you?
I am the IBO computer. I am programmed to provide only fair and unbiased boxing rankings. This fighter is the number 15 ranked contender.
Fair and unbiased boxing rankings? That's a new concept.
Actually, it is not. The IBO has provided unbiased computerized rankings for many years.
Well, we've still got a great fight tonight, folks. In the left corner is the number 15 ranked contender.
The IBO, the champion of integrity. Learn more at iboboxing.com.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts. Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you. I hate you.
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning.
As a young boy, all Billy C dreamed about was one day having his own catchphrase.
And we're back. And we're back.
One boy, one dream, one day, everyone will say.
And we're back. 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 And we're back.
Catchphrase coming soon to a theater near you.
And we're back. You are listening to the Talking Boxing with Billy C radio show. Check out the website, www.billycboxing.com. Do me a favor, man. For everybody that's, been dying to get the show on television, especially if you're in one of those 22 states that carry the AT&T network for TV, AT&T Uverse. Do us a favor, man. Go up on the website, www.billycboxing.com, and click the poster you see right there. It says Fight Now, AT&T. Take a minute out of your busy schedule and fill out that questionnaire, and you will get it. If you don't want to do that, call up your local AT&T Uverse television provider and tell them that you want the Fight Now channel, and we will get it. Okay? You'll get it. You'll get it. We want to get them on every single one, but you'll get it just by calling. So make sure you do that today. Anyway, we got some mailbags that we're finishing up here. And we got one from True Hip Hop TV concerning the Julio Cesar Chavez and Andy Lee show we did. They said, Martinez, I agree that Chavez Jr. could fight Andy Lee, and he'd fight the winner probably in September in Vegas. He said that he's saying Martinez agreed that Chavez Jr. could fight Andy Lee and that he'd fight the winner probably in September. If Chavez beats Andy Lee, then it would be a big win to go into a middleweight showdown that really may be between the two top middleweights. If Chavez beats Lee convincingly and Martinez cleaned up the rest of the division already, and he would have cleaned up the division already. The thing is that they're talking about the possibility of Julio Cesar Chavez fighting someone else and not Sergio Martinez. So hopefully that fight will happen. I think that Martinez has waited long enough to fight Julio Cesar Chavez. I predict that Chavez is going to move up in weight before he fights Martinez. But on the other hand, I don't think it's going to be a blowout like everybody thinks. I personally think that Martinez, I think his window has call me crazy, but his last two performances were not impressive. Now, maybe those two opponents didn't bring the best out of Sergio, but, time is his biggest enemy, man. So while he and Lou are waiting around to get that big payday, I just don't understand why they don't find other people to fight. And just like True Hip Hop TV says, and maybe I disagree with what you say. You said he already has cleaned up the rest of the division. I don't know if Martinez has already cleaned up the rest of the division. That's my hang-up. I think that he should be cleaning up the division. I think we all know that he could, or at least we think he could, but now's the time. He should be. instead of waiting around to get one of those big paydays like these guys are, Team Martinez is doing, I think that they should step up and fight every other middleweight that they can. But that's my opinion. Thanks for the email. Bobby says, about a year ago, I'd say Martinez dominates Chavez, but now Chavez is just too big and such a force on his way inside to your rib cage. I'd like to think Martinez would be a favorite if they fought, which it looks like they never will. See, Bobby's a little more up on it like we are. He says, but Chavez might be able to make Martinez bend his will a little using his extreme weight and chin, which I agree with you, Bobby, on that one. He says, we've yet to see if he would be able to cut the ring off on Martinez, though if he had, or if he'd been fast enough to do smart pressure. But I like to think right now Chavez has a chance. I agree with Bobby. I said it the other day. I think that Chavez has more than a chance, and I do believe that he can cut the ring off, Bob. I think he could cut the ring off, and I think that he slows down Martinez. Martinez is a guy that likes to come on late. We've seen it in his last two fights. But the problem is that his last two opponents haven't really done much to him, until Martinez woke up. But yeah, both times he kind of got clocked a little bit, and it woke him up. Maybe that would force Martinez to open up sooner, should he ever get in the ring with Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. But I agree with Bobby again on the size and the weight and the body punching. I don't know. At this stage of the game, I think that Chavez would give Martinez a fight. Let's just say that. Hawk says, excuse me, again on the same topic, Chavez and Chavez Jr. looking to fight Margarito and not leave. That's who they're talking about. By the way, hip-hop, that's who they're talking about. Him fighting is Margarito after Andy Lee, should he get by Andy Lee, not Martinez. And Hawk says, good take, Billy. A fast guy should rely on his speed. A power puncher uses his power. A short guy will use the game inside. But he was commenting it on that show, but I guess he's talking about the Klitschko brothers. He says, big guys like the Klitschko brothers use their height, size, and reach. And I also think Vlad has real quick feet for a big guy. Hey, both Klitschko brothers are very athletic for their size, and I think that that's what makes them so great in the heavyweight division. So I never accused them of being big, doofy, baby Huey, plodding heavyweights like some of those big guys of yesteryear. He says Hay was smaller and faster, but Vlad did a very good job of using his feet to avoid Hay's haymaker. Now hold on there, Hawk. Hay didn't even want to fight. He was just running around. So I don't know if you give credit to Vlad for his footwork against David Hay. I think David Hay just was, running like a scared girl like he is, So I don't know about that. I don't know if we saw his let me rephrase it. I don't know if we saw Vlad's footwork in the Hay fight. That's what I meant. He goes on to say, we know Vlad doesn't have the best chin, but if he doesn't get caught, it doesn't matter. Excellent point. Lennox Lewis was the same. Maybe pound for pound should exclude heavyweights. Hawk, are you listening to my point? I say that I know the Billy C boxing rankings have, or do we have pound for pound up there? Yeah, we have pound for pound, and we do have a heavyweight in there, but that's because we have a panel. If it were up to me personally, I would not include heavyweights, with the exception of a guy like Adamek, only because, this is a guy that came up from light heavyweight. So that's the only exception. I would put an asterisk next to him. But as far as heavyweights go, heavyweight is a heavyweight is a heavyweight. I think that a heavyweight champion already is considered, a top guy. So I agree with you. I don't think heavyweights should be in the pound for pound, So and that's what he meant on my take. The way I broke down how I don't think that, like I use Vlad as an example. I don't think that if Vlad was a middleweight and he had to come in at 160 pounds, I don't think he would have that size advantage. But Proper Giza says Robinson, and this is he's responding to a show that we did about Sugar Ray Robinson versus Floyd Mayweather, who's the best, and this was the poll question. He wanted to drop an email. And Propagiza says, Robinson was exceptional in his era. Floyd looks amazing today. And you know what? I like the way you put that, Geezer, because, we do give credit to Floyd for being the top fighter, if not the top, arguably one of the two top fighters of today. But it's very hard to put him in that best of all time category. But he says, and he is without a doubt the best fighter of the era, right? He says, but I believe if Sugar Ray Robinson was around today with today's training techniques and everything, he would be the best, way better than Floyd. He had the smarts, he had better rhythm, he had better timing, heavy hands, great footwork, and his toughness was in another dimension from Floyd's. The old footage of Ray doesn't look that great compared to Floyd's, but compare it to the fighters of his era. I agree with you, Geezer. The one thing we got to give Floyd credit for, and some of the listeners had brought that out, is that Floyd does have seemingly a better defense. But I think that what evens that out a little bit was Sugar Ray had way more power than Floyd will ever dream of having or ever thinks he has. And another interesting thing you said is 100% correct. If Sugar Ray Robinson were around today, and he did have the nutrition and the training techniques and stuff that they use today, he would be way better. Now, one thing I will say, we don't know how tough Floyd is. That's been my argument with Floyd. We don't know how tough he is because he really hasn't been tested. Now, all the Floyd Mayweather fans, they all say because he's so much better than everybody, he'll never get tested. I say that he's handpicked his opponents. So, and I'm not saying that, a lot of top fighters don't, but good viewpoint, proper Giza. I like it. I got another one from my man Sammy from Newcastle, England. He says, and this was he sent me a video clip that I watched, and this was called for us. He says, after watching 2 minutes of the clip, I realized something. Ambition is the key for any boxer who wants to be big. Definitely. I mean, when I talk to young fighters, the first question I ask them is, what are you trying to get out of being a professional boxer? There's usually one of two answers that they answer. The right answer, in my opinion, is I want to be a world champion. The wrong answer is I want to make the money. And guys like Floyd Mayweather have built this illusion that all fighters make tons and tons of money. Sammy goes on to say, here you have Frot saying he does not need a fight against a club fighter because he's an elite fighter and he wants to be up there with the best. That's ambition fighters do not have today. When they only want to be rock stars, no ambition or heart. He is still a fighter of today, so we got to put him in that category, Sammy. He's a fighter of today. I think that, it's funny you mentioned rock stars because it seems to me like there's a lot of rock stars out there that want to be fighters or athletes in general, and there seems to be a lot of athletes that would love to be, that would love to be rock stars like, Floyd Mayweather. We're talking about him. But he's got another part of his email, but I got to take a break first. So let me do that, and I'll finish that email and a couple of others in about 2.
Are you ready, America? Then let's get it on with Fight Now TV. It's time, fight fans. Your channel has arrived. All the fights, all the names, all the action. From world-class boxing events to mixed martial arts showdowns and other combat sports matchups, Fight Now TV delivers the hits and more. Call your television provider and tell them you want to get it on with Fight Now TV. For more details, go to fightnow.com.
Broadcasting in all corners of the globe, on the web and radio.
He would scoff at a stretcher, that man, I would think.
You're listening to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. From upstate New York in the good old US of A.
Boxing is here to stay because we are here to stay.
The best 2 hours of boxing talk on the airwaves.
Hey, fight fans, check out KOFantasyBoxing.com. KO Fantasy Boxing is boxing's only trademarked fantasy game. Check it out, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Select your own gym, your own fighters. Track them through a season that can last from 3 months to a year, depending upon which league you join. You got to check this out, man. www.kofantasyboxing.com. Join it today. Again, www.kofantasyboxing.com, and tell them Billy C sent ya.
Now back to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C., the only radio host man enough to take a punch from Mike Tyson.
Wait a minute, man. Hold on there. Jeremy, man, I need you to take this one, all right?
Wait, what? No way. I can't do this.
Need I remind you I'm Billy C., damn it? Now put on that mustache and get in there.
Hey, look at me. I'm Billy C. Crap.
The undisputed heavyweight champion of Boxing Talk Radio. It's Talkin' Boxing with Billy C.
Test 1 2. Test 1 2. My fellow Americans, good evening. Welcome back to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. It's great to be here discussing the sweet science with everybody. I love boxing. I love talking boxing. It's what I do.
Bill.
Wait, what?
Bill.
Why are you interrupting me? Wait, what?
Wrong.
What's the problem?
Billy C.
I did not have...
We're gonna have to ask
wrong
you.
Speech. What do you mean wrong, Billy C? What's going on here? Fine, I'll go. I just wanted to talk some boxing on TPSradio.net. That's all I wanted to do. I don't need your damn show. I'll get my own talking wrestling with the other Billy C. Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, I've always been a Hulkamaniac anyway.
Broadcasting live, brother. Welcome back to Talking Boxing with Billy C. on the mighty TPSradio.net, brother. What you gonna do, brother?
And we're back. You are listening to Talking Boxing with Billy C. Radio Show. You're watching us on the Fight Now television channel. Speaking of the television channel, if you are listening on the radio dial, and like we said earlier in the show, and you've been dying to see it on TV, well, now's your chance, man. For all of you that have the AT&T Uverse as a television provider, you can get it, man. But you got to call them and tell them that you want it. Pick up the phone and tell them that you want it. They're ready to go. You're ready to get it. You don't know how close you are. All you got to do is pick up the phone and call AT&T Uverse and tell them that you want the channel right now. And for anybody else, even if you don't have Uverse, do us a favor. Go up to our website, www.billycboxing.com, and there's a little there's a banner right on the front to the right of AT&T Fight Now. Click it. It'll direct you right to a link that will get you to fill out a survey, and that'll expedite the process, so do that. And I want to welcome the Fight Now audience just joining us like they do every day, Monday through Friday, from 6 to 7:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Check out their website for additional information, www.fightnow.com. We got a mailbag I'm finishing up. I got one more. And this is from my man Sammy in Newcastle, England. He says, but what I really want to talk about, so the first part of the email that I commented on, I don't think he wanted me to mention, but hey, Sammy, today's your bonus day, you know what I mean? But anyway, he says, but what I really want to talk about is top fighters should only be fighting top fighters. I mean, if you're ranked, and I know that there can be 10 different fighters per sanctioning body, if you're ranked in the top 10, you should only be allowed to fight people in the top 10 because the sport is getting so more predictable, and because this happens in boxing only. In our soccer, he's giving an example. In soccer, Manchester United does not compete in the same league that teams in 3 or 4 leagues below play in. Players do not earn the same, and their level of ability isn't even the same. And then he also goes on to say Kelly Pavlik fighting that Jacko or whoever his opponent is, Julio Chavez Jr. I do not know how you can like him, meaning me. Donaire should man up and take the competitive fights against top contenders such as Martinez, Gamboa, Stern. All right, well, first of all, I'm not opposed to your idea of fighters only once they reach a certain level only fighting top fighters, but we had this question a few months ago, maybe a month ago, maybe, I don't know, man, I lose track of time, but Okay. Years ago, like when we were always comparing, boxing in the old days, if you look at these guys, they fought very frequently. I mean, it was normal for a fighter to fight twice a month, But if you look carefully at the records, what you're going to find is that they weren't fighting elite fighters twice a month. A lot of the fighters that were fighting once a week and stuff, and there were a lot. I mean, there were a lot of fighters back in the day, from the 1950s prior to the 1950s who fought very frequently. But what you notice is that they're fighting around the same time as they do today of quality fighters, or better yet, when they put their title on the line. So you could take a guy like a Sugar Ray Robinson, and you can really look at his record and see that, he's fought the best of his era, but those fights generally were, several months apart. And in between, if he got a fight or two, they were against a lesser quality opposition. It was a different game. That was the only way that they could make money, was to fight in the ring. Today's fighter, they may fight 3 times a year. For an established fighter, 3 times a year is a busy schedule. But they're sparring a hell of a lot more than the fighters of yesteryear did. I mean, how much sparring does a fighter get in when he's fighting 3 times a month? It's not like he's sparring every day and then he's fighting. I mean, so I got to give the guys of today a little pass on that one. However, because of what you said, there's so many contenders that once they reach a certain level, they should, if they're only going to fight 3 times a year, they should fight better opposition. So it's a catch-22 there. Now, you make an interesting point about the soccer leagues and stuff. And, we have the same thing here in our football. We have the NFL, which is the top, and then, you do have semi-pro leagues, or baseball is a better example. You have the Major League Baseball teams, and then you have 3 farm systems, single A, double A, triple A. And it's the same thing. You elevate your game to move up into each level, and so does your paycheck. That gets elevated as well. So, if boxing was designed like that, and I actually took a lot of time about 2.5 years ago to develop a whole way a boxing league could work, where we wouldn't even have to rely on all the sanctioning bodies to go away. We could welcome them in. They would be part of the league. I have a way that it could work and really get the support of everyone. But it's too late. I mean, the way boxing is, I don't think we could ever get it to work like that unless you started something new. And like the boxing World Series, the World Series of Boxing tried to do that, and I know that they're still around, but I just don't know if that works. Now, as far as Kelly Pavlik goes, I'm going to get to Kelly a little later in the show. I didn't mind Kelly fighting that first fight back because he had been out of the ring. But now his next opponent, which I'll get to, does bother me. But, as far as Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., I don't know, Sammy. I don't know if you're giving him the right props on that, because I think he's improved. Now, I don't like fighters of today that somehow get maneuvered into a world title shot, and with the troll Jose Suleiman and his corrupt sanctioning body, the WBC, the way they basically hand out belts like somebody's handing out popcorn at a movie. I mean, the bottom line is that whoever they want to be a champion, somehow they give them a belt, they strip and move and slide and do whatever they got to do. That part of it I don't like. I don't like watching a fighter develop as a champion like Julio Cesar Chavez did, Andre Berto did, Saul Alvarez for most part is doing the same thing. However, I do think that Chavez Jr. deserves some credit. He has gotten better. I think he's somewhat exciting to watch at times. I became a fan when he beat Sebastian Zabik with all body shots. I loved it, so I think you're a little hard on him, but great email. As far as Donaire, Donaire might not be what we all think. I don't know. He's moving up too quick. I mean, we'll have to wait. I think the jury's still out on Donaire. So, Anyway, hey, I got to give a shout out to my man Coach. He just popped into the chat room, but not Coach. I'm not going to give a shout out to Coach. I'm going to give a shout out to the website, strictlybusinessboxing.com. Check it out. You can find our show up there and a lot of our news that the guy in charge, I'm not going to say it's Coach or anything, but the guy that's in charge, and his initials aren't Coach K, but, strictlybusinessboxing.com. Check it out. Tell him Billy C sent you. One last mailbag. We got it from my man Alex T. And this is kind of on a serious note. He says, not that the other ones weren't, but I'm just saying this is more serious. The subject, in the title of his email, he says, Jermaine Taylor and Benny Parrott. Now, for some of you youngsters out there, Benny Parrott died in the ring, but what made it more significant than losing his life, and he actually didn't die in the ring. He died a few days later, but what made it pretty devastating to the sport was the fact that it was done right on TV. I mean, everybody saw it, and it kind of ruined boxing for a while. So, and maybe a lot of people think that it's still carried over between that and then the next time it started moving up in popularity. We had Boom Boom Mancini take care of a knockout, and eventually Joo-Hoo Kim dies in the ring as well. And that fight ended 15-rounders. So, but anyway, he says, one thing that's been on my mind since the Jermaine Taylor fight is that Benny Parrott. He says, I'm not trying to be over dramatic, but I find the idea of Taylor continuing to fight extremely disturbing. This is a guy who suffered bleeding on the brain, and I don't care what any doctor says. He has to be at a very high risk of suffering a serious injury if he keeps on fighting. Let's look at Parrott. He was knocked out by Emil Griffith 13 rounds in April 1961. His next fight, he beat Griffin in a 15-round decision in that same year. His next fight after that was in December of that year, where he was not only knocked out by Gene Fulmer, but he was dropped 3 times in that fight, and by all accounts, he took a brutal beating along the way. Then we all know what happened to Parrott in March of 1962 when he was killed after being knocked out by Emil Griffith in their third fight. He says, I don't think it's out of the question to suggest that Parrott had a head injury after the Fulmer fight. And by the way, most people indicate and feel that he did have a serious brain injury after the fight. But remember, they weren't doing head scans and stuff like that then. So, but that is the fight that many believe was the one that created the issue for Benny Parrott. So keep that in mind. And I have another point I'm going to get to in a second. But he says, and even though he passed the medicals for the third fight, which were nothing like they are today, Griffin, for the third Griffin fight, he was at a high risk of being seriously hurt if he continued to box. The parallels with Jermaine Taylor and Benny Parrott are disturbing to me. Like Parrott, he had been KO'd brutally in several of his last fights, and these weren't one-punch KOs. They came at the end of fights after he had already absorbed many blows to the head. And despite the fact that these were all televised fights where everyone in the world could see what happened, Taylor is somehow still able to pass his medicals just as Benny Parrott did before he was killed. I don't like it. This is not going to end pretty for Taylor, and somebody close to him or some commission or whoever needs to step up and say more. Here's the thing. First of all, I disagree about the not one-punch KO power. You know, with the exception of the Carl Froch fight, where he ran out of gas and started taking some shots at the end there, the other knockouts were one-punch knockouts. You know, in the last one where he got dropped, that was a one-punch, one shot, bam, landed on his chin. I think that was really the only solid shot that Khalib Truax landed on him. But I am not going to deny the fact that I think the damage was already done, like we've been talking about, and you know, Alex did a thing on it, and I keep telling you guys about the test you can see about the way the brain sits in your skull and the membrane and all that kind of stuff with the egg. You know, I agree with you, and that's one thing that is very important to me, and I tried, and I reached out to the ABC Boxing Commission, and basically the president, who, by the way, if you read the reason why the ABC Boxing Commission is in existence, is to protect the fighters, and I came up with a good idea. It's very simple. You know, why don't we just force the fighters from this day forward, when they become a professional and they get their federal ID card, that they're required to undergo a head scan. And then the only reason they undergo a head scan is to have a scan so a doctor can compare it. Remember something. These guys could be going through head scans like Jermaine Taylor after the knockout. And that scan could come up and be within what a doctor calls within tolerance. And if it's within tolerance, they get passed. So the only way a doctor can truly compare a head scan and see damage is if they have a head scan to compare it with, one that was considered normal. And the only way that you're going to get a normal head scan is to do one before they start their professional boxing career. So, I had said that that's an easy way to protect the fighters. And, ABC comes back and says, well, it's a great idea, Billy, but the problem is it's going to cost too much, and that might deter promoters from having fights, and we need fights in order to protect the fighters. How stupid is that, Tim? If you're listening, Tim, that's a stupid thing. And, I know I've been pretty calm and cool about it, but that's a dumb thing to say. Because, and I'm not saying to make the promoter pay for it. Make the fighter pay for it. Just like in any other sport. If you want to become a baseball player, you're going to have to invest money in your career, whether it be eating peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and ramen noodles while you're in the minor league teams, or whether you're playing football and you got to invest in training techniques or equipment or whatever else, basketball, same type of thing, or forget sports. Maybe you want to become a doctor, or maybe you want to become an accountant, or even a carpenter. Any career path you take requires some kind of investment, whether it's in time or money. You have to go to college to become an accountant, or if you're going to become a carpenter or a plumber, you want to go to a trade school, you want to become an apprentice. All of that is an investment. Why is boxing any different? Why is boxing any different? Why are we going to turn around and say, because a kid doesn't have the money, he can't afford a head scan? Well, you know what? Then do what you got to do to get the head scan. Why do you let that go? And then we cry that people get hurt. The way to protect the fighters today is to do that. If a doctor had a comparison scan where they can say, here's a normal scan, here's an abnormal scan, we got a problem. And today they don't do that. After a knockout, they could have looked at Jermaine Taylor's head. Yes, he had bleeding on the brain. So did Eddie Chambers after he was knocked out with Klitschko. And the thing is they see bleeding on the brain. They see the swelling go down. They get an updated head scan. It's within tolerance. They're okay to fight. So, I agree with my man Alex T. As far as the parallel, with Jermaine Taylor, I personally think that, once he took that severe knockout, once he got that severe knockout, and that one was Carl Froch, every one after that is just making it worse and worse and worse. I think that I agree. I think Alex's point, I'm not trying to put words in his mouth, but I think his main point is that we all saw the punch that put Jermaine Taylor down last week, and we all saw that he barely could get up. And, you say to yourself, this is Caleb Truax. I'm not knocking him or anything, but what's Jermaine going to do if he gets nailed by Chavez or Martinez or even Kelly Pavlik? What's he going to do? Are we going to kill this poor guy? And I agree with Alex T. Somebody has to protect him from himself. And, where's Lou DiBella? Lou DiBella, he stopped promoting him because when he said he wanted to make a comeback, Lou stopped promoting him because he felt that it wasn't cool. But Jermaine Taylor went and underwent many head tests. Not only scans, but he was involved with all kinds of specialists, brain specialists, everything, and they cleared him. They gave him a bill of health. So what does that mean? Guys like Lou DiBella, guys like Patrick Burns, other people that are close to Jermaine Taylor, they all get to say, well, here's all the test results. They told us he's okay. So, whatever. But thanks for all the mailbags. Keep them coming. I love reading all the mailbags. The top story, in my opinion, right now is this UTEP issue, University of Texas El Paso. They knew for a month that almost a month, that the Andy Lee and Julio Cesar Chavez fight was going to be taking place at their facility, the Sun Bowl Stadium, which seats over 51,000, almost 52,000. And it was announced the other day that they can't have it. You can't have it here. We changed our mind. And the main reason is because they feel that it's a security risk. And, a lot of people, including, public figures and governmental figures from Texas and stuff, are outraged over this, as we all are in the boxing community, but maybe for different reasons. I think that the local government in Texas, they're outraged because they want the revenue. All right, they want the revenue that's going to come in where we have 51,500 people or 52,000 people come up for an event. But what I'm outraged for, and you'll hear later on, is the fact that the stereotyping the boxing fan. It's bad enough that the boxer gets stereotyped. I'm a boxer, that's the stereotype, right? We all know that's not true. There's a lot of very well, and I don't like him, but Floyd Mayweather can speak very clearly, very well. He's a smart guy, so he's definitely not the stereotypical boxer. But what's making it worse is that we as boxing fans are being stereotyped as being rowdy and dangerous and everything else. Let me just ask the people at UTEP one question. Have you ever watched a soccer game from outside of the U.S.? Have you ever seen what these guys do? I was in Europe for a fight, and I watched as the fans got mad at a goalie, and they came down and beat the crap out of the guy right on the field during the game. I mean, you're talking about fights where people get killed in the stands, and they're running out onto the field, and a guy misses a goal or somebody does a penalty, and they take matters in their own hands, and you have the nerve to say that boxing fans are out of control. Come on, man. Go look at some of these other fans. Go look at some of these other sports, man. I mean, the bottom line is that, why does boxing always take it on the chin? No pun intended. Why does boxing always be the bad guy? We're fleeced on every single sports media. We're the bottom. We're like a special. We're like a niche within a niche. We don't, even on ESPN. Geez, you go to ESPN's website, they got every single sport, and you have to find boxing because it's under other. We're in there. We're cricket and polo and all these other crazy sports. Then you got boxing in there. Listen, CBS told it all the way it is. CBS picked bull riding over boxing. I was appalled when I read that CBS decided to do a long-term contract with bull riding, over the sport of boxing. Please, and now you got UTEP saying that the boxing fan is dangerous. It's no good. It's a security risk. They had Clinton. They had President Clinton visit there, and you're going to tell me that you have a president of the United States there? You have enough security to handle, all the wackos that follow, presidents and presidential candidates and all that other stuff to different venues. You have enough security to control those people, but you don't have enough to control those unruly boxing fans. Come on. Hey, nothing for nothing, but with the exception of that one in Argentina where they were throwing bottles and stuff, I honestly can't recall when boxing fans became so unruly that it made the news. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the guys in the chat room can help me out. He's laughing at Polo. Yeah, Polo. Marco Polo. But, I mean, come on, man. Come on. I mean, with the exception, and Argentina apologize for that. That was bad. That was dangerous. It was very sad, actually. But I can't remember when it happened. I just can't. I can't. And shame on you, El Paso. Shame on you. I tell you, let's talk about something good. Let's talk about something good. How about The Reckoning? The Reckoning. What's The Reckoning? Well, The Reckoning is Holly Holm versus Anne-Sophie Mathis numero dos. It's the rematch. It's scheduled for June 15th. My man Austin Colleen, who's a writer for us, and he does some great stuff. He was at the press conference the other day, and my fault, I didn't get a chance to put up the thing until yesterday. He was at it actually the day before, and so we were a little late with that press conference. But read his write-up, because he has the line of the century concerning this fight. The line of the century concerning this fight. I got to give an attaboy to Austin Colleen. Now, I know he's going to be all, he's probably going to cut this segment out because, you mention his name and I'm giving him kudos and stuff. And this guy's got an ego. I mean, his ego has to, when he flies someplace, Austin Colleen has to get an extra seat just for his ego, all right? That's how big his friggin' ego is, all right? But Austin Colleen, I got to give him credit. He came up with the line of the century, and I'm going to quote it. And I quote from Austin Colleen's article. It's up on BillyCBoxing.com. Check it out. Concerning Anne-Sophie Mathis, Holly Holm 2, he says, "This is not an outstanding women's main event. This is I'm murdering his quote. He says, "This is not an outstanding women's main event. This is an outstanding main event." I couldn't have said it better. Attaboy, Austin. So just pipe it down, Austin. Don't go out there and get yourself a crown. All right. But the bottom line is, I couldn't have said it better. It is a really good main event, regardless if it's a male or female fighting. So what I say is, I hope everybody is marking it down on their calendar to make sure that they watch this fight. Now, rumor has it, and I'm hopefully we're going to find out sooner than later, but we're most likely going to be broadcasting this event live. So we're real excited about that. I'm going to be calling the action. I called the action in the first fight. I thought that Holly Holm was winning at least the majority of the rounds leading up to the end of that fight until she kind of got away from her game plan. For some reason, at some point in time, she decided that she wanted to go toe-to-toe with a puncher like Mathis. I personally, I know it's early, but I personally don't see it happening like that again. I just don't. I see Holly doing what she does best. By the way, congratulations, Holly Holm. If you're listening, she's getting married this week, and we're very excited. I happen to know Holly personally. She's one of the sweetest people I've ever met, and I wish her luck. If you've never had a chance to see Holly Holm fight live, now's your chance. Albuquerque, June 15th. Make the trip. If you're not from Albuquerque, make the trip. I don't think she's going to be around that much longer. I think that this is a fight that she wants to avenge. And since she's married and she's going to be starting off with her new life, so to speak, maybe she doesn't need the sport anymore. Go see Holly Holm. If you haven't had a chance to see her, go see her. And if I'm going to be out there, we're going to be doing a Billy C gathering. So make your plans now. Fred Squares Promotions, give them a call. Find out all the information on that. Kelly Pavlik returns to the ring on June 8th against a guy that I'm not too happy about, to be honest with you. He's fighting a fighter that Scott Sigmund. We talked about this. Kelly Pavlik, you can give a fighter an opportunity to have that fight, that get back up on the horse fight, the fight that gets him going again. And it was a comeback of sorts for him when he fought Aaron Jacko recently. But a comeback kind of a fight like that after a layoff, I can live with that. I don't have a problem with that. But he's got to step it up. He's fighting another Aaron Jacko. Scott, the guy, his opponent that he's fighting, Scott. What's his last name again? Scott Sigmund. I was going to say I thought it was Quigley, but Scott Sigmund. He's got a record. He's got 3 losses, and he's got 22 wins. So out of 25 professional fights, he's fought exactly 3 decent fighters, and he lost all 3 of them. every other one is I don't want to use the word. But let's just say that they're if they were marginal, I would be happy. If they were marginal fighters, I'd be happy. But anyway, hey, one other thing I want to mention before we go to a break and get Daxx Khan on. Bernard Hopkins chaired Dawson this week, and I'm going to talk to Dax in a little bit about it. Amy Green has her little prediction. It's up in Amy Green's room up on BillyCBoxing.com. But, she somehow shook out of the woodwork some guy, man. She knows him. He's somewhat of a boxing expert, self-proclaimed or whatever. And she wants to have his opinion on there. So he's on there, too. So I wanted to make note of that not only did Amy Green give her prediction, but she kind of recruited some guy to give a prediction. So if you're interested in hearing what some guy says, go check it out. It's under her column up on BillyCBoxing.com. I got to take a break, and when I come back, we're gonna have Daxx Khan on. We'll get his thoughts on some stuff, and then he'll give us his boxing weekend roundup. All coming up in about 2.
Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. now has official merchandise available on TalkinBoxing.com. T-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, and mugs. And yes, even undergarments. Talkin' Boxing apparel is the perfect gift for the boxing fan in your life. Log on to www.talkinboxing.com. That's TalkinBoxing.com and place your order today.
Join us here for 2 hours as Billy and the gang do what they do best.
Every time I start talking about boxing, a white man got to pull Rocky Marciano out their ass. Rocky Marciano was good, but compared to Joe Louis, Rocky Marciano ain't.
Hit Joe Louis's ass.
Joe Louis was 75 years old when he fought.
Huh?
What?
We're supposed to be talking boxing.
It's Talking Boxing with Billy C.
As Billy C sits here in the multi-million-dollar Talkin' Boxing Studios, sipping a fine wine before you're even out of bed, you should be thinking, damn, I wish I had a mustache like his. It's the Talkin' Boxing with Billy C show. He's Billy C, and you're not. Sucks to be you.
Now let's dig into our archives and hear a rare interview when Billy C first became the champion of boxing talk radio. Hello, Billy C. As the new champ, can we ask you a few questions?
Why, certainly.
Okay, your fans would like to know how you and your corner have successfully walloped the competition.
We're not ordinary people. We're morons.
Anything else?
I'm a victim of circumstance.
Did your success finally come when you made the show 5 days a week for 2 hours? What do you think?
I'm trying to think, but nothing happens.
Now, please tell the listeners what you've learned from making it this far.
Certainly. If at first you don't succeed, keep on sucking till you do succeed.
Great words of wisdom, Billy C. Keep up the great work as the undisputed People's Champion with your show, Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. Any last words to anyone who's listening?
This is your fault, you bonehead.
And we're back. You are listening to the Talking Boxing with Billy C, a radio show, and you're watching us on the Fight Now television channel. And hey, if you've been waiting around to try and get Fight Now on your television set, well, here's what you can do. Go up to our website, www.billycboxing.com, and right on the front page, you'll see a poster, and it says Fight Now. Yeah. It says Fight Now, AT&T. Click it. Take a couple of minutes out of your busy schedule and fill out the survey, because you will get it. You will expedite it to get the show on your TV service provider, especially if you have AT&T UVerse, because UVerse is ready to put the ink to the paper, but they're looking to see how many people we can send over there, man. They're challenging us. So I want you guys to take some time and do that for me. I'd appreciate it. Go up to the website, www.billycboxing.com, and click it, because I know this guy's going to help us do that. Right, Dax?
Yes, I am. How is everybody?
Good, man. Good. I guess I did get a little riled up about that head scan thing, but, you know, I mean, the truth of the matter is that that's just, don't you think that that's a small price to pay, like if you wanted to become a boxer and if you had to, you know, knock over the local convenience store so you could pay for a head scan? I mean, isn't it worth it?
I really think that this should be included in the price of a license. A scan, a one-time scan really is not that much money. It's not like it's a $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000, $9,000 test.
Well, it's about $500
when somebody
though.
gets licensed, I believe that they should have a CAT scan.
Well, that was my point. I mean, you got to start now, right? So I'm saying, if a kid wants to become a pro, right? If a kid wants to become a pro, what they have to do is they have to get a federal ID from the state in which they live in. And whatever that costs is not a lot of money, $25, $30, something like that. They got to get a photo ID and all of that happy stuff. And if they just require them to produce a head scan, you know, a CAT scan of the head, and I think those scans you can get for $400, $500, whatever. And yeah, that's a substantial amount of money, especially for the kids that, you know, a lot of kids that are getting into the sport may not have the money. But, you know, I use the comparison of any other sport you would have to invest, any other job. If you wanted to be anything, you have to invest in your future somehow, right? $500, let's say, isn't a lot to invest in a career, I think.
No, not at all. Because matter of fact, a lot of companies nowadays, especially companies, if you're going to be handling any sort of money, or any type of driving, they actually make employees pay for their own drug test. And some of the drug tests are not cheap. Some of the drug tests can run anywhere from $300 to $500. And you know what? So why not in boxing as well? And the difference is that those companies are having people do it, to protect the company's self, and we're trying to do this, to make these fighters protect themselves. You made a good point about Jermaine Taylor before, where the people around him need to protect him, and he needs to be protected from himself. Same thing with this, protect these guys early on.
Yeah, right. Well, you know what it is. I understand how the doctors go, and you've had so many X-rays, you glow in the dark. But the truth of the matter is that they go by what they call, and you've heard it a million times, within tolerance. So if they're looking at a scan, let's take Jermaine Taylor for an example. If they look at his scan and it's within tolerance the way a head is supposed to look like, they say he's fine. But maybe there's a difference than if they would have taken that scan 10 years ago. That's my point. It will just help the doctors make an educated decision,
Absolutely. For example, last year I ended up having to have two neurosurgeries because of an accident, and nowadays I still have to get, because the surgery's only been about 6 months, I still have to get a CAT scan once a month. And what they do in there is they try and make sure that there was no shifting of where the miners that they went in. There's a mesh that's inside, and there's fasteners that help close that up. And now what they do is they compare it to all the past ones. Midline shift, where it shows that a bone is growing back in, and the types of little shift of the mesh that goes inside there. So yes, definitely, if there was, and it always has on there that one important word where you're saying compared to. They always have something compared to, because, and I've been told that before, if there's nothing to compare it to, we don't know what's normal for this person.
Exactly, and that's the key. But anyway, hey, what's your thoughts on? Abner Mares had a fight last week. Obviously, looked fantastic. What's your thoughts on that fight?
He looked good. It was a good performance. It was against Eric Morel, a veteran champion. Eric was champion for a long time. He knows all the tricks in there. Eric can take a punch. He's not even at his best, he was never a puncher, so I never thought that he would at all hurt Mares, and I don't think anybody else did. And matter of fact, I don't think anybody really expected Morel to go the distance. But again, he is a veteran who knows how to survive. He did bloody up Abner's nose. Abner still gets hit a little too much. He's still a work in progress. Some of the tweets, if you watch Showtime, that were coming up in the corner talking about Mares is a beast, and there was one up there talking about this is the version of Mares that would destroy Gamboa, would destroy Donaire, which I think, people were just getting a little silly about. I was on Twitter. I was like, people are getting a little ahead of themselves here, because if Abner Mares was getting caught by Nonito Donaire, or if he was getting caught by Yuriorkis Gamboa, or even Salido or Wanma, the way he was getting caught by Eric Morel, I'm sorry, Mares is going to sleep. But he is an exciting fighter. I'm glad he's learned a little bit to keep it above the belt. He's still a work in progress, and we'll know when he steps up his level of competition a little bit more, fights a few more active guys that are at that top level but not past that top level. But he has the goods.
Yeah, you make an interesting point. I had a smile when you said, he fights a guy, and you're right, his defense needs to be worked on a little bit. I'm not taking anything away from Morel, but I just a glimpse of the hand speed of a guy like Gamboa and Donaire in there with Mares. Maybe he gets busted up, but what I like about Mares is that the kid comes to fight, and although I thought I even gave it a thumbs down with those guys giving him credit, Abner Mares, for fighting, pound for pound, the hardest schedule in boxing, and how they could think that he, fought tougher guys really than Carl Froch. But the truth is he has fought a pretty tough schedule. I mean, this guy was a kid, and he was thrown in there. I mean, just think of it, Yanni Gonzalez, and then from that point up, Johnny Gonzalez, sorry, and from that point up, he's fought nothing but the best. It's
true, but the hardest schedule in boxing, no, That's not true. Well, you've been saying all week, and as much as he kind of gets under my nerves and grates my skin, yeah. Right now, Carl Froch has probably had the toughest schedule in boxing over the last couple of years. Well, other than Glenn Johnson, but I think Glenn Johnson's had a tough schedule his whole career.
Right. You're not talking a couple of years. You're talking like 20 years with him, you know.
I was actually talking to Jose Chileman Alonso yesterday, and we were he was discussing about some fights that he's not complaining about losses. He was just discussing about, how many fights in his career he's taken on short notice because he doesn't really have a promoter. And one that he felt a friend of his took that wasn't fair because it was a hometown decision. We were talking about Texas. There's a fight coming up in Texas, and we were both laughing on, what happens in Texas unless you get a knockout, you're not winning if it's a hometown boy. But I was like, you know what? Glenn Johnson had his whole career in Texas because that man's been robbed in more fights than any fighter should.
No, that's true. And speaking of Texas, what's your thoughts on this UTEP? You had me laugh when I looked over and you went, polo? But it's true, man. But it's true.
You killed me with ESPN as polo.
It's true. I mean, you got to have
If you ever notice, I was laughing at it because you ever notice places like Yahoo or some, the bigger search engine providers, it all depends on 1 week it'll be under others. Next week you go on there, it has its own section. Week after that, it's under others. I think they change it around according to whatever big fights are on. But what happened out in Texas, they realized later on exactly how much money it costs to have an event at your place. And it doesn't all come out of the promoter's pocket. And something that you had said before, too, when you were talking about Benny Kid Paret, is that these guys are sitting there thinking, now, if something breaks out and there's some sort of incident, this is going to tarnish us. This is going to make us look bad. And that's all that is. It's a combination of the two. It sounded good at first, but then all of a sudden they realized the money investment in there isn't something that's going to benefit them, and gosh forbid something goes wrong, how this could really, besmirch their image to the public.
Well,
that's what happens when you get businessmen, and that's what happens when you get people who don't know about something who make these decisions on a whim because it sounds like the good thing to do and it sounds like a fad. And then you know what happens? One, maybe two people over there who donate to the school on a regular basis, they didn't like it, and they're afraid to lose a sponsor or a donor, so they change their mind.
So you see, now I didn't think it was about the money because, and I do agree with that last statement because there are a lot of sponsors out there that don't want to be associated with the sport of boxing. And, I think that's what killed, people always ask me, how come it's not on network television anymore? And that's the reason. There's a combination between that and the fact that the people that are making the decision, we always refer to them as the suits, right? The suits of this business, the suits of that business. They're the bean counters. They're the guys making the decisions, right? But the thing is if it's a numbers game, if the ratings aren't good, you can't really argue with the suits by saying, hey, nobody's watching the fight, so we're not going to put the fights on. But when the numbers are good and they still don't put them on, now it's somebody making a decision like you just said, a personal decision because they don't like the sport, and that's what sucks. But in the UTEP situation, do you think it was that, or do you think it was just, like I took it as it was stereotypical of a fight fan? And I made the comparison, I should say, with those. I mean, you hear about all these horror stories in the soccer game in Europe, man. I mean, you miss a goal and you don't have to get. We get in the States, you worry about going to the sideline and getting yelled at your coach, from your coach. In Europe, you're worried that they're going to shoot you from the stands.
Well, that's why you have something called security. You add a little bit extra security. Down there, considering how big, whether it be down south in Texas or out in the Midwest, how big and how important that these big colleges are to all those towns around there because they do generate so much revenue that, I'm positive there would not be any problems with, getting a few extra police on there, working some overtime and stuff. So
how many people?
As far as, what's going to happen or there might be an incident or something like that, I'm sorry, I don't believe that.
How many people did they have at Pacquiao's 2 fights in Texas, and how much trouble did they have?
They had no trouble as far as I know.
Right.
And I know probably at the 2 fights combined, they've had to have at least 50,000.
Right. No, more. They had.
I'm just saying at least.
Oh, you mean for each one?
Right.
Yeah, not combined. Right. So, no, it's crazy, but. Anyway, big fight this weekend, my man. Bernard Hopkins, Chad Dawson. Who do you like?
I like Chad. I think that Chad's in Bernard's head. I personally do believe that. There's a reason why Bernard likes to talk. Bernard will talk you until you're asleep because Bernard's about that entertaining, whether he talks or when he fights.
Right,
but,
exactly. You just stole my joke, man. That's perfect.
Aside, and I keep going back to this conference call that happened last week. Why would Bernard not go on the call? Bernard has tried really hard. In the last fight, he tried to get in Chad's head. We've seen what happened. That fight started, and Chad came out so determined. Chad, nothing was going to deter him that night. We see how the ending on that turned out. And I think the same thing on this, except Chad is even more motivated. Bernard, yes, he has pulled off a lot of great moments, especially late in his career. The win over Pavlik, the winning the title over Pascal, and so on. But Chad Dawson, we forget exactly how good he is. And you know what? How good Chad is, and then a motivated Chad Dawson, a man that feels disrespected, a man that feels he has something to prove, a man that feels he was shortchanged, and then you have somebody that knows his time is running short.
You're right about Chad Dawson. He does. He's a guy that has to have a great performance because we've all put him up, and we all know that what he's capable of. But the truth of the matter is really when you stop and think about it, when was the last time he showed it?
Speaking of Jermaine Taylor, I kind of
No, we're speaking of, wait a minute, we're speaking of Chad. Answer the question, sir.
I'm going to answer the question. I liken him to Jermaine Taylor. If you remember, Jermaine Taylor, before he became the champion, was so good. And then once he became the champion, there was nobody. They weren't giving him no good fights. They were giving guys Kasim Uma, Corey Spinks, where Jermaine was going in there and he was just going through the steps. He was winning the fights, but he was just going through the steps, and he wasn't living up to his potential. He wasn't living up to what he had. Same thing with Chad. See, after he won that title, they weren't sticking him in with anybody. They was really challenging him and pushing him, and Chad just seems like to be going through the steps. But that doesn't mean Chad doesn't have that ability.
Yeah,
that just means that Chad, there's nothing really to, light a fire under his butt to make him perform at his best.
Well, the other thing too is the one thing that I always thought, although he talks a good game, the one thing I always thought about Chad is that he didn't have that killer instinct. He fought, so one knock on Scully, sometimes John Scully, as a trainer, is that he's smart as a trainer. He gives the fighters what they need to win without taking unnecessary risk. However, I think Chad needs a little mean streak to fight B-Hop. He needs a killer instinct to go in there and take care of Bernard Hopkins this weekend. And I hope we see that. I want to see him go in there and seek and destroy because that's what he needs to do.
I think we're going to see that. It's just not Chad's demeanor. Chad is just not a guy to come out and talk trash. Chad's not a guy to come out to make a bunch of empty promises, whether or not they follow through later on in the ring. But you understand what I'm saying? And that's just not his personality. It's not his demeanor. He's not gangster. Chad doesn't pretend to be from the streets. He doesn't pretend to have a posse. He doesn't walk around flashing all his money. That's just not him. So it's not so much that he doesn't have the ability or that mean streak. Because if you watch that last fight, even though it only lasted those 2 rounds, Bill, you put it on, the look at Chad's face says it all, and just the way Chad was throwing those jabs out with authority. He was looking to make a point, and Hopkins knew it.
Well, I just do not. I want to see Hopkins go away. To me, he's like a pimple on your face that you can't wait to have it go away, man. But, hey, one last fight I want to ask you about. There's so many good fights this weekend, but there's really another good one, unfortunately, that's flying under the radar because of the B-Hop Chad Dawson fight, and that's Yanni Gonzalez against Elio Rojas. It's in the featherweight division. It happens to be on Fox Deportes. I mean, what a home run Fox Deportes gets by getting that fight.
Yes, definitely. They have a great fight card this week.
Who do you like in that one?
Yanni Gonzalez. I have a hard time picking against him.
I love that
really
guy.
Do. Either he's great or he's just mediocre.
Yeah, but he's been great in the second half.
Up,
in the second half of his career. Remember, they all thought he was done. And
then look, when they thought he was done, he was in that tournament. They thought he was just the other guy with the name that was going to be the wins. And again, it was even in there. Either Yanni looked really good or he looked mediocre. But when Yanni's on, he's one of the best in the world.
Yeah. Well, this is a guy that don't confuse him with the other Johnny Gonzalez.
No.
Right. Okay. All right. Because he the other Johnny Gonzalez was in the bantamweight tournament.
Yeah. Yeah. That's right. Yeah. That's right. I realized. You know what? Because they spell their name the same.
No, that's how you can tell the difference. They don't. I don't think. Yanni.
No, I believe they both spell with the JHONNY.
Oh. Anyway, but this Johnny Gonzalez, you know who he reminds me of? He reminds me of Jorge Arce, the guy that everybody wrote off. Now he's coming back again in the second half of his career. And Yanni
I love Jorge Arce.
Me too.
That guy, he seems like he's been around forever, and he's only 31, 32 years old. And he feels like he's been in the sport 25 years. And that guy, there's never a bad fight with Jorge Arce.
You're thinking of Yanni Perez. Yanni Perez spells his name the same way, but it's Yanni Perez. That's who was in the bantamweight tournament, not Yanni Gonzalez. It's the Yanni.
All right, yes, you're right. That's my mistake.
I just realized it myself. No, it's not Yanni Gonzalez. It's Yanni Perez, right?
Perez. Right.
Anyway, give us the boxing schedule roundup for this week.
This weekend's roundup is a fairly decent one, like as you said. Starting out in Cordoba, Argentina, OR Promotions has a female world title bout. WBA super flyweight champion Carolina Marcelo Gutierrez Gate defends against Tenkai Tsunami. The undercard is scattered with a bunch of local upstarts. In Sweden, on Sweden TV 4 Sport, unbeaten WBC super featherweight champion Frida Wahlberg defends her title against tough Amanda Serrano. Bill, you called Serrano's last bout against Ilya Nunes in Chicago not too long ago. Both these ladies are unbeaten. The champion Wahlberg is 10-0, and Amanda is 14-0-1. Frida's never been in with somebody who will go to war like Amanda, though. Light middleweight ladies action will feature Makaya Lauren against Cindy Serrano. All these ladies, for you detractors of the female boxing scene out there, are known for putting on quality and exciting performances each time out. So if you can watch this one, just as a boxing fan, put the female part aside. This is definitely a card you don't want to miss. In the UK, on Sky TV, Coldwell and Matchroom Boxing teams up to co-promote an event. In the feature, Tony Bello defends his BBBFC light heavyweight championship against Danny McIntosh. In the undercard, light welterweight John Matson faces Jason Cook. Unbeaten light heavyweight newcomer Matty Clarkson will also be in action. Showtime has a good card scheduled for Friday to be aired out of Buffalo Run Casino in Oklahoma. Undefeated super middleweight Thomas Ustuzian takes on Marcus Johnson. Unbeaten super bantamweight and our BillyCBoxing.com prospect of the month, Luis Orlando Del Valle, will meet up with Christopher Martin. Also, heavyweight prospect Joe the Future Hanks, who our own Amy Green interviewed recently. That interview can be read in the green room on BillyCBoxing.com. Will also be in action. Friday Night Fights has some battles of unbeatens as well. Light heavyweight NABF champion Ismail Silica brings his title and 17-0 record against fellow unbeaten light heavyweight prospect Dennis Grachev. 18-0 super featherweight Javier Fortuna will meet 16-0 Yundal Evans. Both those fighters are KO artists, so I expect that one not to last a 12-round distance. Saturday at the Grand Oasis Resort in Quintana Roo, Mexico, we will see two world title fights. We were just speaking of WBC featherweight champion Yanni Gonzalez will defend against Ilya Rojas. IBF super featherweight champion Juan Carlos Salgado defends his strap against Martin Renario. That card also has several unbeaten prospects on its bill as well, and it'll be aired on Fox Espanol here in the United States. Top Rank and Xanafer Promotions team up to air on US Azteca America TV. WBA World Light Flyweight Champion Roman Gonzalez will defend his belt against Ramon Garcia Morales. Unbeaten welterweight Wale Omosoto and unbeaten lightweight Jesse Roman are also slated to be in action in separate bouts. Of course, the pay-per-view event out of Atlantic City this weekend, the rematch between Chad Dawson and Bernard Hopkins. Hopkins' WBC light heavyweight belt will be up for grabs. We all know how the last bout between those two went, so there's no need to get into specifics on that. Unbeaten heavyweight Seth Mitchell will face Chaz Witherspoon. Unbeaten welterweight Sean Porter will be on the card, as will unbeaten lightweight Mike the Babyface Assassin from here in the Capital District area is going to be on that card as well. So the undercard is really a good one to watch. Might even make up for whatever shenanigans that Bernard Hopkins pulls in the main event. So this week around the globe, those are the ones worth watching, in my opinion. But, it's a good weekend of boxing, and it continues to follow that trend, Bill. Feast or famine.
Yeah, I like to feast. I'm a fat bastard. I like to feast. I like to feast on boxing and food. But yeah, I tell you, I didn't realize Cindy Serrano was on the. She's making a comeback. So that's like because she's the older sister of Amanda. and I didn't realize she was making a comeback. Amanda Serrano is a quality fighter, but she does take a lot of punches. I don't know much about her opponent. Does this woman have the power to stop Amanda?
No, but Frida doesn't have a lot of power. She's not going to get in there like Ilia Nunes, and she's not going to bury her head in the chest, and she's not going to stand there waiting to trade. But you know what? She's a slick boxer, and Frida, she's one of those fighters that can. The way she moves around and her ring generalship can make another fighter that's not really on that elite level look silly, if you understand what I'm saying. Where, Amanda's going to be trying a lot of the night to chase Frida down and to lull Frida into her type of fight, and Frida's not going to have it. So if Amanda can't overpower her, I don't see how Amanda can win.
Yeah, she does like to go toe-to-toe, and I've seen her...
And Frida won't do it. Frida's going to box her, and Frida's a great boxer. The only female boxer that I think right now is better than Frida Wahlberg in terms of boxing ability is Yolanda Yeskabab.
But her level of opposition, Bob's level of opposition, has been a little iffy. They refuse to fight outside of her country. I think Holly Holm.
So was Julio Cesar Chavez Sr.'s, but you ask Greg Haugen how tough those cab drivers are.
No, I know. But I mean, as far as a boxer, in female, I hate to say it, although I'm I guess maybe my personal because I like her. She's just such a nice person. But Holly Holm can fight. I mean, box. Now, she made a mistake against Matisse in the last fight, obviously going toe-to-toe.
Mathis is just, she's a lot bigger than Holly, and Mathis is strong. That's her biggest asset. It's just she's big and she's strong. But Holly definitely, Holly made a tactical mistake the last time. For some reason, she thought she could trade. Holly doesn't have a lot of power. And it's funny, before that fight, something, I had a feeling something was going to go wrong because, and that interview is still up in my column on BillyCBoxing.com, where she had made a comment about, I don't think that Aunt Sophie Mathis can hit any harder than Chevelle, so I'm not worried about her power. And I said, when she said that, I thought to myself, you know what? I don't care who this fighter is. You should be not saying I'm not scared of the power, worried about the power. Not that you have to go and be leery of it, but, she almost had that. She almost came across as, you know what, if she wants to go toe-to-toe, I'll go toe-to-toe. And then when she compared her to Chevelle, we all know Chevelle can hit. So I was sitting there thinking, I was like, you know what, this doesn't sound right.
Well, you know what, I'm partial to both of those fighters. Chevelle, Holly said that nobody ever hit her as hard as Chevelle prior to Matisse and prior to fighting, and so. Yeah, they pronounce it Matisse. They corrected me every time I said.
Oh, really?
I
pronounced it. All right.
Yeah,
so
they corrected me. I kept saying Mathis, and they said no, it's Matisse, and I was like, okay.
That's the same as almost like that fighter from Argentina, Walter Matisse, right? Same pronunciation.
Well, same thing. I always called Lucas Mathesy, and I was corrected that's pronounced Matisse. Whatever, man. I barely can pronounce my own name. But getting back to Holly. Holly Holm, in her defense, she took the punch. She took the power punch. Where she failed is she took too many of them, and she was in some serious trouble. That fight should have been stopped. I believe that her corner failed her, and they should have not let her go out for that last round. She was not 100% in that corner. I think the shock factor from not only all the fans in attendance, which was the eeriest. I mean, you're talking about 4,000 screaming fans. You could hear a pin drop when she was in her corner and after the fight. I mean, it was one of those. You had to be there to understand the feeling you got. But by Winklejohn letting her go back out there, not 100%, that's what got her knocked out. I think that they should have kept her in the corner. She got against the ropes. She took way too many shots. The referee didn't help her any, and the fact that there was a small ring. I mean. They took her strength out of that game. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And they should sometimes, the corner is sometimes the corner is braver than the fighter should be.
Exactly.
Exactly. Sometimes, and that aggravates me a lot of times. People complain about Buddy McGirt. Well, he'll stop stuff on his fighter, but Buddy used to be a fighter. Buddy has seen what the long-term effects of somebody taking too many shots are. And yes, some of his guys have gotten upset with him, but Buddy looks out for his fighters, and Buddy isn't, he doesn't stop the fights Richard Steele quick. But you know what? This is how much women's boxing has evolved. It's come to the point now, Bill, where we're going, I wish there was still do you remember when, now we're talking about, I remember when Ann Wolfe was fighting. Do you remember Ann Wolfe? And, of course, the greatest female of them all, Lucia Riker. We're at that point in female boxing where we're starting to look back on some of these women as the greats. So what's that say about how much it's evolved and now it's going to be in the 2012 Olympics? Female boxing is a total different game than what it was. And don't get me wrong, I love her. She's a nice girl. She's a sweetheart. She used to be fun to watch. But back when Christy Martin was the face of boxing, when the women just went in there and it was just like a tough man contest, and they just were flapping their flapping their arms like it was a pillow fight with some giant gloves on, being silly. And it's become such a total new game now.
Well,
even the fact that we're sitting here debating and talking, discussing about a fight between two women. 5 years ago, Billy, would that have ever happened?
No, and no disrespect to Ann Wolfe or Riker or even Christy Martin, but I think that the era that we're in right now with female boxing will be the gauge of female boxing in the future, because I think we actually have some of the best female fighters out there right now that nobody.
Ann Wolfe was the Tyson of female boxing.
I'm not going to dispute
Lucia
that.
Was the Sugar Ray Robinson of female boxing.
I am not going to dispute that. But then again, we could argue the level of opposition. We could argue, Layla Ali was a good fighter that many people think that she never even.
Well, Layla Ali was the Ty Fields of boxing.
Well, she never, the Ty Fields of boxing. She never lived up to her, really continue on, so we'd never know. But, I think that there's so many quality fighters. In a men's, there's just so many quality female fighters today that have opened up the gates, and you're right, with the addition to female fighters this year in the Olympics. I think that female boxing is
just
on the rise.
Interrupt you real quick. Anybody who wants this, when it comes to Lucia Riker, anybody said, well, look at the level of competition. You know what? Take a visit on YouTube. Watch Lucia Riker fighting men in Muay Thai. That'll tell you how good Lucia Riker was.
Oh no! I'm not, like I said, I'm
not Muay Thai.
I'm not taking anything away. I'm just saying that you said it yourself. The skill set of the female fighters today are better than so you have the hand.
I'm just speaking of her in general.
Okay.
As a fighter, period. Whether it was in any era, if right now Lucia Riker would still be the best if she was in her prime.
There's always those fighters that are above the rest. You know what I mean? But anyway, no, I understand your point. As a matter of fact, Ann Wolfe was on our Hall of Fame ballot this year.
Yes, and hopefully we do get a female in there.
Yeah, no, hopefully we'll be the first, and maybe next year. But, Dax, great job as usual, and we'll look forward to you next time, my man.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot, everybody. Have a great weekend. Don't forget on Mondays to visit BillyCBoxing.com. Austin Kylene, myself, Amy Green, always have a new column up there. We always have the latest in the boxing news and the press releases. And also get on there and click the post the link, as Billy had mentioned before, and fill out the survey for the new AT&T.
Thanks, my man. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Bye now.
That's Daxx Khan. Check out his column every single day if you want. He puts stuff up there all the time. www.billycboxing.com.
The 2012 Summer Olympic Games unfold in 5 months in London. The honor and the history of playing host goes back a long way. How long? That's next on Sports Shorts with me, the Sports Princess.
This Your Family Today tip is brought to you by Stouffer's, helping bring your family together with wholesome dinner options, even on the busiest of nights. Find dinner table ideas to bring your family together at letsfixdinner.com. To get kids involved in dinnertime conversation, ask specific questions, not broad ones. Instead of what happened today at school, try what was the best thing that happened today. The more specific you are, the more they'll have to say. For more tips like these, visit us at parenthood.com/yourfamilytoday.
Legend has it that the Olympics go back to Hercules, but let's leave Greek mythology out of it. The modern games opened in 1896. Since Athens couldn't afford to put them on, a businessman ponied up the coin. pole vaulting, weightlifting, shot put, and swimming, few of the handful of events. Since those days, some of the original sports remain. Others come and go, depending on the whims of the International Olympic Committee. Australia, France, Germany, and China have hosted Summer Games, and this will be the third time for London. As for the Winter Games, the U.S. has hosted them 4 times since they started in 1924 in France, featuring sports like alpine cross-country skiing, figure skating, and such. Between the Summer and the Winter Games, there are hundreds of sports and thousands of athletes. You never know what city is going to get a crack at hosting next. I'm the Sports Princess with Sports Shorts.
Now back to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. He may not have an Excellence in Broadcasting award, but the night's still young.
And he's got martinis.
So you never know what may be by morning. It's Talkin' Boxing with Billy C.
Talkin' Boxing with Billy C.
The one, the only, Don King.
Makes me feel good, Billy, to have you, the #1 show in the country, Talking Boxing with Billy. So I invite each and every American that's listening to this great show to tune in, because we want you to be there with Billy and me.
St. Jimmy's coming down across the alleyway, up on the boulevard like a zip gun on parade. Lights on the silhouette, he's in some buttonette, coming at you on the count of 1,
1, 2, 3, 4. And we're back. You're listening to the Talking Boxing with Billy C, our radio show. You're watching us on the Fight Now television channel. And what? You wish you could watch it on your television channel? Well, let me ask you a question. Do you have AT&T Universe? Or, no, not AT&T Universe. Do you have AT&T at the end of the universe? Do you have AT&T Uverse? Is that one of your, is that your television provider? Well, guess what? Now you can get Fight Now. You got to call them up right now. Tell them that you want the Fight Now channel added to your sports channel lineup. And while you're sitting around, you got an extra minute. Do me a favor. Go visit our website, www.billycboxing.com. Click the poster that you'll see. It says AT&T Fight Now. It's right there on the front page. You can't miss it. Right on the top, man. Click that. Fill out a survey for us, and you'll get it quicker. As a matter of fact, even if you don't have AT&T Uverse, do me the favor and go fill that form out. Then drop me an email, and I'll even give you something for your trouble, all right? Give you something for your trouble. So make sure you can prove that you filled it out. Don't be emailing me for a freebie and not do it, you know. But anyway. Hey, I want to remind everybody, if you have not listened, we have another it's like a mini show. We're doing it right after the show. So if you're listening live, stick around. We have a thumbs up, thumbs down. We call it a segment. We call it a show, whatever you want. It varies in length, anywhere from 5 to 15 minutes, and we're doing it on a daily basis. Our thoughts on thumbs up and thumbs down for some things that took place in the sport of boxing yesterday, you know, or maybe even today. Who knows? But check it out, and if you miss it, you can check the podcast out. It's up on the podcast. So make sure you check it out. Thumbs up, thumbs down. It's a new segment that we're doing. And also, if you missed the interview, I got tons and tons of phone calls and emails about it. Yes, it was the Snooki, and we had her on the show the other day before we took our day off. But check it out. If you missed it, it's available up under the website, www.billycboxing.com. Under the hot interview section, it's the one up on top. And speaking of interviews, Tibor Broch, he was a former Canadian welterweight champion, and he's currently a very hot worldwide prospect, actually in the lower weight division. I mistakenly said he was going to be on this week. He's going to be on next week on Tuesday, so make sure you tune in for that one. He's a great kid, and I always love talking with him, so check that out. And speaking of Snooki, not only is she can you listen to the replay of the interview up on BillyCBoxing.com. We also have a copy of it up on the YouTube, so you can always check that out as well, www.BillyCBoxing.com. There's a link for YouTube, or you can go to youtube.com/BillyCBoxing. Hey, for all the Billy C Challenge people that are jonesing, guess what? We got somebody's coming in. I won't mention his name, but his initials are my main man, Andre. He's did a lot of work for the website, built the shell, the whole nine. He has stepped forward once again and is going to put together an online version of the challenge again, so that we don't have to bother with the emails and all that stuff. So hang tight, man. I got all those emails and everybody that's been part of that. We will have it online again ASAP. As soon as it's done, we will get that finished and it'll be finished and done right this time, and done so you guys can win some prizes because we give them away. We give them away. Hey, speaking of giving it away, how about Alfonso Gomez had to pull out of the fight? You know, I was bragging about the Cotto Mayweather fight card that was so good, and I do. I think it was really good. This was one of those fights, man. Jesse Vargas was going up against Alfonso Gomez, and the bottom line is Alfonso Gomez injured his back or having back spasms. He's had to pull out of the fight officially. He's not fighting. They are looking for a replacement. They have some time. We don't know where it's going to go. And speaking, Murphy, you're going to get that. You know, hey, listen, if anybody has a spare copy, he's searching around for a spare copy of Blood in My Coffee. If anybody has a copy that they can lend him, could you please send it to him? You know, I mean, I do have a couple of brand new copies, but I think he wants to read someone else's. But I've been holding off on this one, but I just can't do it anymore. As a matter of fact, I wasn't going to even say anything, but I got to say something. So for all the Mayweather lovers out there that just think this guy is so good, the guys that drank the Kool-Aid, all yous, it's time for you to shut the show off because you're probably not going to like what I'm going to say. But Floyd Mayweather did his workout yesterday. Or was it yesterday or the day before? It might have been yesterday. It might have been the day before. I lost track of a day. So he did a workout recently, and he had a conference call. The funny thing about him is that, you know, he picks and chooses who he speaks to and all this other stuff. So it's not like when you have a regular conference call, everybody can get in on the reindeer game, except Mayweather. But, you know, he came up and they printed, several of his comments. As a matter of fact, 5 specific ones that I want to talk about, that all are such delusional, in my opinion. And you know, the thing is this: if you love Mayweather, you buy into all this BS that comes out of his mouth. And I'm going to give you an example, and I'm going to give you my opinion after his statement, and then we can go from there, right? He says, I'm the reason why they don't like, why they, meaning boxing people, don't talk about heavyweights anymore. So the way he wants you to believe is that he's the reason no one talks about heavyweights anymore because he's so good. He's so great that no one cares about heavyweights anymore. We all know that that's a false statement. At least the educated and smart people that follow the sport of boxing and aren't, have their blinders on where they think Floyd Mayweather is the greatest thing since the shoe. We all know the real reason behind that statement and why people don't pay attention to the heavyweights anymore. And it's a simple answer. Because the heavyweight division sucks today. The heavyweight division is in one of the worst times in the history of the sport. That's why no one pays attention to it anymore. We don't have any American heavyweights. We don't have any characters anymore. I had an email that said, if everyone could be as interesting to listen to as Floyd. Who thinks that his gibberish, his BS that comes out of his mouth, who finds that interesting? I find it all a crockamamie BS story. I think he tells tall tales and that he's a liar. I don't believe anything he says. I really don't. I want to see. I'm from New York. I want to see. I want to see him perform. So he's got an opportunity next week because if he dismantles Cotto, I will give him all the credit in the world. I'm not saying that Cotto's going to win, but I'm not saying he's going to lose either. I'm not saying anything yet. I'll give my predictions next week. But Cotto's a legitimate opponent for Mayweather. So we'll see. Another one of his lines, he says, when Cotto or any other fighter looks at my Ustream workouts, come on, man. He says, when Cotto or any other fighter looks at my Ustream workouts, they have to say, I can't watch this. And Mayweather says, because it's going to throw their focus off if they watch how hard I work. There's no other fighter that's dedicated like I'm dedicated. I have the will to win. Now, let me start off by giving credit where credit's due. Floyd Mayweather Jr., I'm not going to say no one works as hard as him, but Floyd Mayweather Jr. works very hard. He is not a guy that skates. He's a guy that stays in shape all the time, similar to a Klitschko. He's always in shape. He puts 110% effort in there, 110% effort. And I'm not going to deny that, and I'm not going to knock him for that. However, My question is, I can't watch this. It'll throw their focus off. My question is to Floyd. My question is why, Floyd? Because you can't, because other fighters can't hit the mitts the way his choreographed mitt-hitting sessions go. Come on, man. They're like a dancer. Those choreographed mitt-hitting sections that he brags about by showing how great in shape and how hard he works, they're choreographed. They're choreographed. It's just an automated thing that they do. It's a show. We're not seeing the real Mayweather workouts. He's not going to put them on Ustream. He's not going to put them out in the public. What we're seeing is what he wants us to see. For him to say that anybody that watches that's going to be afraid, come on, man. Anybody that believes that is not too sharp, man. You're a couple of fries short of a Happy Meal. Come on, man. Come on. You're not that too. You ain't the sharpest tool in the shed, man. If you believe what he's saying, you're not. Then he goes on to say a couple of things about Manny Pacquiao. Now, here's a guy that has in my opinion, Floyd Mayweather has the opportunity right now to just totally steal the whole Pacquiao Mayweather deal. He has the chance right now to just say, I don't need Pacquiao. But this is where all his BS about how he says he doesn't need Pacquiao isn't true. He needs Pacquiao. He wants Pacquiao because he wants the money. He wants the money. So if I'm Floyd Mayweather, well, no, I would never want to be like him. But the thing is that if somebody was trying to market or position himself in with a fight, why mention it? This is about Cotto. This is about fighting Cotto. This is about Floyd Mayweather getting prepared to fight Cotto. Why would he say, I don't worry about the Pacquiao fight not happening? If it were really all about Pacquiao, then I wouldn't have had to fight 42 other fights. I'd just have to fight Pacquiao, become the greatest in the world. But it isn't just about Pacquiao. It's about everyone I've fought. Well, that's the knock on you, Floyd. There's only a handful of fighters that you've fought that we give you credit for. At least I do. The rest of them are all hand-picked opponents, either much smaller than you or 150 years old or has-beens or whatever. So, no, man, I think when all is said and done, people that are smart, people that know the game are going to look at your opponents, look at the time in which you fought them, and they're going to realize that you're a scam artist. That's the bottom line. And you're bringing up Manny Pacquiao. Why? You're fighting Miguel Cotto. Why bring up Manny Pacquiao? If you tell everybody you don't need Manny Pacquiao, why bring him up? But he not only brings him up once, he brings him up twice because he's got another statement. Manny Pacquiao has done a lot in the sport, but he should also be standing behind me to clean up the sport. Now, that statement I'm going to kind of give him credit for, and I'll tell you why. He's referring to steroid use, all right? But the subliminal message there is the accusation that Manny's using steroids. So Floyd doesn't give credit to anyone except himself. So you got to read between the lines when Floyd says something. And finally, and this is the one that maybe is my favorite, and maybe it's my favorite because the people that really believe. Floyd has this dream about being a gangster. I'm a gangster. I like to hang out with gangsters. I act like a gangster, and if you disagree with me, I could have you disappear. Because isn't that what he said? Isn't he a wannabe gangster? Didn't he pay off Ozzie Harris to keep his mouth shut and have Ozzie do 7 years and make him a rich man when he comes out? Didn't he say that he didn't know Ozzie Harris? And then we have the people, the police, whoever, have footage of this guy at his house, going to his house after he lied and told everyone he didn't know the guy. So, I mean, come on. But he says, he goes like this. He says, I try to turn negatives into a positive. Sounds good so far because that makes a pretty good person, right? He says, when I see my family, my team, and fans support me, that's my motivation. Okay. I'll give you that. As long as you're not smacking your girlfriend or your wife around, as long as you're not preventing your kids from going to get help, as long as you're not, taking things away from your kids that you gave them to, as long as you're not doing that, okay, I'll give you that. Then he comes up with the gangster line when he says, going to jail I'm surprised they didn't use the word prison. He should have used the word prison because that would have made this effective, a little more effective. But he says, going to jail can only make me mentally stronger. This is just an obstacle. Everyone has their good days and their bad days. Let's be real about this whole jail thing. Anybody that's, even our very own Joe Santaliquito, he's like doing an article. Remember he was asking us, hey, name some fighters that were affected by jail. That they went into jail and they never came out the same. Is Floyd Mayweather going to be the same after jail? He's doing a month. Listen, he was sentenced to 90 days. We know he's not going to do 90. My prediction 2 months ago is the same it is today. The man will not do 30 days. I will bet my last penny, which, all right, maybe I'll borrow a penny from somebody and bet it. But the thing is this, he's not going to do 30 days. I'm telling you he's not going to do 30 days. This guy's going to be let out for some reason, some way, some shape, some form. He's not going to be 30 days. Even if he did 31 days, even if he did 90 days, which he's not, but even if he did, he's not going to jail. He's not going to prison. He's going to a county jail. He's going to a county jail. Now, listen, every jail, don't get me wrong. No one wants to go to any jail. No one wants to go to a county jail, a prison, or a federal pen. I mean, listen, jail is not a place to be. So anybody listening out there, don't be glorified by jail. All right? I mean, jail is an embarrassing situation. He wants to turn a negative into a positive. He's kind of trying to make his stint in jail like glorified. All right? But the truth of the matter is, this is a county jail that he's going to be treated like a celebrity in there. You think that he's going to be treated like regular old prison number 42, 67, 45? You think that he's going to be the same convict as them? Come on, man. Come on. Listen, I bet you he comes out with his hand in a cast because he signed so many autographs. This guy's going to be more popular in jail. He's probably going to figure out, and this is where I got to give him credit, but he's probably going to figure out a way to make a few bucks while he's in jail. Maybe they'll have him teach and that's the whole thing. They don't even have these kinds of programs. Like when you go to jail, and maybe I shouldn't say that. Like when if from what I understand, when you get sentenced to a real jail, like if you're going to go to a prison and you get into a prison system. They have prisons have workout programs. They have schooling programs. They have boxing programs. All right. County jails don't. They don't have. He's not going to. It's not like he's going to be doing a boxing program to help the inmates. Listen, at least in New York, a county jail I think can only hold you for 1 year. So anybody in there, they're either on their way someplace else and they're there temporarily, or they're just a nuisance in the neighborhood. The local drunk. The guy that gets pulled over all the time. He's doing his year in there. The petty thief. All those guys. In a county jail. I mean, come on. Listen. Do I think he's a little embarrassed? Yes. Do I think he regrets it? Yes. Okay, but he's trying to glorify. Oh, am I going to be the same fighter when I get out of jail? Listen, Mike Tyson went to jail. He did 3 years. I mean, when you go to jail, when somebody says I'm going to jail, you're doing a stint that's more than a year. He's doing a couple of months. Lindsay Lohan went to jail. Paris Hilton went to jail. Who's the actor that was in what's his name? I can't think of his name right now, but he did those movies. He's good. Robert Downey Jr. He went to jail. All these guys, they all survived. They all came out. Nothing happened to them. And this is the same kind of jail that Mayweather's going to go to. So please, for all you Mayweather lovers out there, don't glorify the jail thing, please, because it's not fair to people. It's not fair to our youth that think that it's cool. It's just a shame. It's a shame. Mayweather. If what I would have liked to have seen with Mayweather is no discussion about the jail. I would have liked to see Mayweather do his time, and shut his mouth. Just for once, I would have liked to see Mayweather just shut his mouth. And he didn't do it. But anyway, enough of Mayweather. junior lightweight Vincent Escobedo is coming back May 12th. That's right, May 12th. He's going to be fighting on a Golden Boy card. Imagine that. He's going to be fighting on that card, so we'll wait and see how he does. I was mentioning about Gomez and his back. You got some other fights that I wanted to mention real quick. You have they're saying in the chat room that I bet they let Floyd place his bets from jail. Probably. Are they going to give him special treatment? I tell you, if they didn't give him special treatment, I probably wouldn't be so critical. But we all know that he's going to get special treatment. We all know. Hey, did you check out the fight? We probably haven't heard, but Sergio Rabchenko is going to be taking on Ryan Rhodes. Ryan Rhodes got a record of 46 wins, 5 losses. Rabchenko is undefeated at 20-0. They're going for the European light middleweight title. It's vacant, and it's taking place June 16th. That's not a bad fight. So mark that one down, June 16th. Another one I want you to mark down is the ESPN event that's taking place May 18th at the Albany Times Union. You can get tickets right now by visiting our website, www.billycboxing.com. Click one of the Star Boxing posters. You can't miss them. Frezequendo's returning May 25th. May 25th is when he's going to be returning, doing another Bobby Hitz show. 33-7. Don't know who he's fighting, but Yakubadou Black Mama Amadou is going to be on that card as well. One last thing I want to mention. The Troll. You know the Troll. Jose Suleiman. Yeah. The guy who they used as the model for the Troll doll when he was wearing that Don King red-orange colored wig, and then they made the Troll doll. That's Jose Suleiman, in case you didn't know. But he says that he made an announcement yesterday that said the WBC middleweight champion, Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., has signed a commitment to defend his title against Sergio Martinez in September. If he defeats his next challenger, Andy Lee, is in what would be his third defense of his title, Sergio Martinez is supposed to be his next opponent. Both fighters have already signed a document. And according to the WBC, they have silently carried out continuous communications and negotiations while both parties, in spite of media reports that indicated the opposite. Jose Suleiman said, and I quote, "I am convinced of the dignity, pride, and honor that a World Boxing Council champion always has." All right, who wants to take bets on this one? Maybe Floyd will be the bookie on this one. Who wants to take bets that this will not happen? Remember something, Jose Suleiman. Remember something, Troll Man. The announcements that came out about Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. fighting Antonio Margarito, why do you suppose they're talking about that? Who's the promoter and who's got both fighters? Ask yourself, who's got both fighters and who's the promoter? And now you think that stupid strap is going to dictate? Has that stupid strap dictated Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. to fight Sergio Martinez yet? How many times did they have signed contracts to fight and they didn't? How many times did the WBC order the fight and they didn't? And I ask one more question, Troll Man Suleiman. Why did you strip Sergio Martinez of the middleweight title anyway? He didn't lose it in the ring. He didn't lose it. And why does he have to even fight Julio Cesar Chavez? Isn't he the super champion? Oh, I'm sorry. Diamond-studded champion. Isn't he the diamond-studded champion? Isn't that above the regular old champion? Come on, man. Come on. It's not going to happen. He doesn't want him. They don't want to fight him.
Wake up. It's time for the...
It's too early for a trivia question.
Today's It's Too Early for a Trivia Question. Question is being sponsored by Star Boxing and the May 18th event at the Times Union Center in Albany, New York. It will also be the main event on ESPN is the Raymond Serrano and Kareem Mayfield fight. You can get tickets for that fight if you want to join us, because we're going to be down there at our website, www.billycboxing.com, and click one of the Star Boxing posters. Or you can come up to the Halftime Bar and Grill this weekend and next weekend for Friday night fights, and we're going to be giving you a chance to get tickets. Now, Today's question, or actually I should say yesterday's question, was who had the most fights from 1930 to 1939? Now, believe it or not, we had 2 correct answers, all coming pretty quickly after the show. But and I want to give a shout out to my man Rick. Rick got it right. Rick out of Vermont. He got it right, but he wasn't the first. And the guy who got the question, and the question was who had the most fights between 1930 and 1939, the guy who got the question right first was the guy who always saves your asses, man. And, yeah, Lonnie Jackson from San Francisco, he knew that the correct answer was Len Wickar. Len Wickar had 429 fights, 429 fights from 1930 through 1939. And then the next 2 guys in line was Tiger Burt Eisen, who had 293, and George Martson, who had 290. So congratulations to my man Lonnie Jackson. Once again, he saves the day, and he's getting his own copy of the Evander Holyfield Way. Now, on the line for today's trivia question is a brand new book. It's out by my man Clay Moyle, and it's the Billy Miskey story, the St. Paul Thunderbolt, and it can be yours if you get this question right. And incidentally, if you don't get this question right, go up to our book club, www.billycboxing.com, and when you go into the book club, you'll see a copy of that, and you can always get a signed copy, getting it directly from Clay Moyle, or you can get it through Amazon or wherever you want. Today's It's Too Early for a Trivia Question is a recycled one, so here it is. When was the first bout in which the details of the official scoring were announced by the ring announcer? When was the first bout in which the details of the official scores were announced by the ring announcer? If you know that answer, email me, Billy at TalkinBoxing, TalkinBoxing.com.
This day in boxing history.
And finally, this day in boxing history is being brought to us by Campanaro and Tomkovich. If you need a lawyer, use the ones that keep me out of trouble, and that's Campanaro and Tomkovich. Give them a call today, 845-221-4099. On this day, April 26th, in 2003, Antonio Tarver wins a 12-round decision over Montel Griffin to win the vacant IBF and the WBC World Light Heavyweight titles, and that took place on this day, April 26th in 2003 in Connecticut. Hey, man, that concludes our show for today. One important thing to remember. Make sure you tune in tomorrow morning, same bat time, same bat channel, the Fight Now channel. Call your local television provider right now and tell them that you want the Fight Now channel added to your sports channel lineup. It's that simple. For all the information about the channel, you can find it on their website, www.fightnow.com. See you all tomorrow. Ciao, baby.